Good morning. This is the Naples Money Managers News You Can Use, our own NMM right here with Dennis Nelson, and I'm Dawn Litchfield Brown. Haven't talked to you for a couple of weeks. I guess you have, Dennis, right?
Well, I have, yes. Where have you been?
I have been in Vermont. I'll have to plead guilty to being there, although working very, very hard. I have so many things to talk about today that I'm sure we're going to have to cut them back and save them for next Monday, but my list is the fact that Social Security benefits may be going up by 6% in 2022, January. That's something to talk about. I've been talking about Roth conversion, IRA conversions to Roth. Maybe if we have time, we'll touch on that.
Yep.
The 10-year rule for required minimum distributions and the fact that they may change that from now 72 to 75 is the next age bracket when you have to start taking money out.
All this is a moving target, isn't it?
Roofs, what's going on? This is sort of related. It's related financially, but the fact that insurance companies are making people put on new roofs if they're more than 10 years old in a lot of cases. Most of them 15, but some 10, no matter if you need it or not.
Yep.
And if you don't get that, and you have a mortgage, your mortgage company says, hey, you have to have insurance. If you can't get it, we're going to impose it.
You're a hostage to these companies.
I guess Citizens is still helping with that, but it's pretty expensive. Putting a house, your residence, in a trust, and taxes. I mean, taxes. It's just crazy out there. But I will say one thing. These are all the things I'd love to talk about today, and we'll pick one. But this is the time to do your tax planning right now. Right now. Not right before the end of the year, and definitely not after the end of the year. So you have make an appointment with your tax professionals, whether it's Zoom, telephone, or in person, and make sure you don't end up paying a lot more money because you didn't know.
Yeah, it's too bad the government is going to leave this till the end of the year before they really decide on it sounds like.
Well, and the only thing that appears to be retroactive, so far as I can see, is the capital gains. They don't want everybody running out and selling their stuff this year, which is why not, right? At the 20% rate or 25%, depending on whether you depreciate or not, plus that 3.8%, it's called a health tax, but we all called it the Obama tax for Medicare. Plus that, they don't want everybody to do that, so they're trying to make it retroactive to April of 2021. Can it be done? Yeah, I think it can be. Will it be done? Anybody's guess.
Anybody's guess.
Anybody's guess, but why take a chance?
Yep.
I'd say do it. Get it done, and hopefully they don't make it retroactive.
Well, I'm going to try and do as much planning as you can, but the government right now seems to be in disarray with all kinds of issues. It may not get done this year.
Well, and the other thing you can do is make sure your capital gains are not over $1 million. So I should have said that earlier on. I mean, if you have a big sale, maybe you want to do an installment sale, so that the payments come over 3 years and stay under that $1 million, and keep you from paying what could be, well over 40% when you add on the other taxes.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Planning. Please, I can't say it enough. Yep. What have you got for us today, Dennis?
Well, just by accident, I happened to be going through my bookshelf, and I ran across this book. This is it, 36,000 on the Dow. That was given to you, Dawn, and ended up in my bookshelf. It was published at the early part of year 2000, so that's 21 years ago.
Yeah, right when the market took a 45% drop in that one.
Well, it was right before it took
right
a 45%.
Before that, so okay.
That's right, but.
So the Dow, was about 14,000 at the time that book came out.
More like 11 or 12,000, I think.
Oh, I'm almost positive I'm right.
Well, you probably
We're going to go back on this
one. You're almost
one.
positive.
I'm almost positive.
If Dawn is almost positive, you got to remember, she is right.
Oh, of course. But if I'm wrong, I'll be sure to let you know.
So at 14,000, that's over a doubling, almost tripling of the Dow in the last 20 years. And it was interesting. Okay, so their forecast was pretty much on as far as the Dow is concerned. But then you get into the book and you look at the stocks that they were recommending that you hold. Exxon.
Oops.
Which is up a little bit over that 20-year period, but just a little bit. Coca-Cola Coca-Cola is up $5 a share in the last 20 years.
Wow.
Wow. Tootsie Roll.
I would like one right now.
I don't know what happened to Tootsie Roll because they had a great operating, profitable operating results up until the year 2020, and they kind of fell off the planet. How long has it been since we heard of Tootsie Roll as a stock? I checked to make sure it was still a stock.
Yeah, that's just
It is down from where it was when this book was published.
Wow.
And it kind of gets you thinking. Actually, the only stock that was really up was Microsoft. But that took a long time over from that 20-year period. It was probably almost maybe 10 years before that stock really started going. It was $30 back in the year 2000. Now it's 300. I would have liked to own a bunch of it then.
Right.
But what it says to me is the difficulty of making long-term guesses, particularly if you're looking at previous decades, say, of performance. A stock that's done well for 10 years apparently has no correlation to how they're going to do over the next 20 years.
Well, I always use the buggy whip company. I use that scenario. If you had a company that had paid a good dividend, had increased every year their dividend, solid balance sheet, all these things, all the things you look for when you're buying a stock, low debt,
right?
Would you buy it? And everybody goes, of course. And they say, what did they make? Buggy whips.
Yep.
So that really brings to home, I think, what you're talking about.
It does.
You don't know what's going to be the popular thing or the needed thing or the required thing in the future. You just don't know.
Things change, and they can change dramatically and affect the future of your company. It's just reading through this just was a shock to me.
Because of the picks they had, mostly?
Because of the picks they had, and they were exactly right. 36,000 on the Dow. We're here, but all the stocks. Yeah.
I think that was a bet on the economy. As a whole, 36,000 would be an economic to me, and then trying to pick the stocks was just probably foolish on their part because you have all these revolutions, and the technology revolution is far greater, far quicker than any of us.
Yep. And it also makes you think, if we're going to look at long distance guesses on what companies are going to do, we have to look at them in a different light than past performance.
You mean like a dim light, so we can't see it very well? What do you mean?
Well, it is definitely a dim light, I tell you, but the dividends, for instance, and profitability may not be the big factor in what you're going to see in terms of growth over the next 20 years. You look at Amazon as a favorite. It wasn't mentioned in the book, but that was $7, as we know, back in.
I bought mine at 14.
Back in the year 2000, but it was a struggling online
book
company.
Money.
Yeah, it was a bookstore. An online bookstore didn't make any money for the next 14 years.
Yes, I know this.
And yet look at it. It went from $7 to 3,200.
Wow. And so you just never know. It's interesting. Dennis almost always talks about ways to make more money. And I don't know if you noticed, but I almost always talk about ways to save you money because they do go hand in hand.
Yep.
You can make a lot of money, but if you're not careful on the other end, you're just going to give it away. You're going to lose it in some fashion. A lot of the short-term day traders never realized, how much money they were going to have to pay. Which, by the way, I've learned that if you are a Bitcoin, buying and selling Bitcoin, and I think they mean the actual coin, not the ETFs or whatever, it's wherever.
Oh, I think you're right.
You can actually buy and sell it in the same day, take a loss if you had one, or a gain, buy it back, and it doesn't wash itself out. So right now, if you had a stock you paid $10 for, now it's worth $5, and you know, I hate to sell it, blah, 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 it's so low, but I need the loss. You could sell it at $5, but you wouldn't be able to buy it back again for 31 days. It's not the case with Bitcoin. I'm sure they'll plug that hole somehow, but I just happened to read that.
Yeah, interesting.
I do want to talk just really about holding your residence inside your personal trust.
Important conversation.
Right, especially if you have separate trusts and a husband has one trust, wife has another, and you put your residence in one trust or the other. Whoever dies first that owns the trust, if the person who owns the trust dies first, that house, the whole thing will step up in value because it's all in that person's trust. If the person who dies is not in the trust, it's not their trust, none of it's going to step up. So you got to figure out who's going to die first and then put it in the trust. But the important thing is, if you have it in your trust and you want to take it out and put it into joint name, just so you're not gambling on who's going to die first, you can do that. You can do that at any time in joint name or single name a year before that person dies.
It's got to be a year.
Right.
You got to do that before a year.
So let's say you unfortunately had a bad diagnosis of a cancer, and the cancer tends to last 3 or 4 years, and you realize this is something that you need to address right away. You can move that asset outside of your living trust and put it into that person's name entirely within 1 year of death, and the whole thing will step up for tax purposes. It's a pretty big deal. So please, here again, planning, pay attention. Go review your estate documents.
Yeah.
Anything
Good
else
advice.
you want to close with, Dennis?
No, the market is up today. We'd love to see it. Where it's going to be in 21 years, I don't know.
You don't, it'll be up. Let me just tell you, I know it will be up. It always goes up, you just have to live long enough.
That's right.
So this is Naples Money Managers news you can use. And remember, money matters, but most importantly, you matter. Have a great day.